Hello, everybody, and welcome to the TARDIS Zone Talks. And we are here to discuss why the media are still defending Chris Chibnall and his writing. I came across an article from Screen Rant, and it's not the only article that we've had since his departure has been announced. And I just want us to talk about because I think it's still kind of funny that still to this day you're having the media defend Chris Chibnall. And this article by Screen Rant is literally a joke. I've put it in the link description. I won't be reading the whole article out, of course, because it's nonsense. But the reason why I wanted to highlight it is because you will see just how far they'll go to defend Chris Chibnall and his writing and the excuses that he himself has actually come up with. So that indicates to me that he knows that what he's produced is absolute rubbish. But yeah, people and media will defend this era with all their lives. To be quite honest with you, it's a joke. But anyway, let's get into it. And we do have a couple of guests to bring on as well. We're going to be live for about an hour, so I'll get straight into this and I'll get to the chat in a couple of minutes. So let's get into this. And I'm not going to put it up on screen. So Doctor Who's shocking showrunner admission reveals it's a real problem. So, a shocking confession from outgoing Doctor Who showrunner Chris Chibnall reveals fundamental problem with the way the beloved BBC show is produced. Now, before I get into this whole article, and the journalist is James Goodman, by the way, it was published a day ago. Now, before we get into it, all right, BBC. Right, he says that it reveals a fundamental problem with the way the beloved BBC show is produced. Right, all I'm just going to say is, and just before I get into any more detail, RTD and Stephen Moffat had no such problems. Right, so I just want to make that clear, and I'll make it clear as we go on because it is actually highlighted in the article. And I'm going to call it out for the bullshit that it is, okay? And you will see why now in a minute. So, a shocking admission from outgoing Doctor Who showrunner Chris Chibnall highlights a fundamental problem with the show. Despite the promising start, the Broadchurch creator's tenure as the Doctor Who boss has seen the BBC series lose the spark that once made it unmissable television. Well, that's true. We'll agree with that. This drop in quality has been matched by the drop in viewership. Again, true. And many Whovians lay the blame squarely on Chibnall's weak Doctor Who era as showrunner. Again, we all agree there. There's nothing really to disagree with there, so we'll move on. With Chibnall having penned his final episode of the show, he recently sat down with Doctor Who magazine to reflect on his time as showrunner. Oh, whippy do that, eh? I bet you all those people that went down and got the Doctor Who magazine were all delighted to get a Chris Chibnall interview because he rarely gives one. While generally positive about his tenure, right? Yeah, okay. The writer did admit his dissatisfaction with the Series 11 finale, the Battle of Razankor v. Kalos. I'm glad I can actually bleed and say that now, but like that is a stupid name for a bleeding Doctor Who episode anyway, and that's been another problem. Some of these episode names have been absolutely stupid. Slinging the episode out as the worst of his run. So he thinks that's the worst episode of his run. Fans will say that that's probably in there as one of the worst, but certainly not his worst. Anyway, at least he admits that he wrote one that was bad. With the story rated a lowly 5.3 by users on IMDb, it's clear that Chibnall wasn't the only one underwhelmed by the episode. But the showrunner's explanation, and this is why I wanted to do this, right? The showrunner's explanation of why the finale underperformed should shock its defenders and critics alike. So he's ready for the shock. So, remarkably, Chibnall's retrospective interview saw the writer reveal that the version of the episode that we got, because I'm not reading it out again, that went in production was only his first draft. With Doctor Who Season 11 having half its episodes written by Doctor Who debutants, much of the showrunner's time was taken up making sure their unseasoned scripts were fit for production, leaving him less time to work on his own stories. Now, I'm just going to say something, right? Just going to say something and point out the glaring stupidity of this article. When RTD came back in 2005, he had fairly new writers writing for Doctor Who, and it wasn't a problem. Stephen Moffat also brought in his own people too, along with some of RTD's people, and he hadn't got a problem either, right? The problem is his weakness as a showrunner. See, if the script, right, if his script was first draft, why did he hand the first draft over in the first place for it to be filmed, right? Surely, right, what you would do is you'd have your first draft, right? You give the actors and the people an idea of what you want to do, but you tell them it's the first draft. You're going to take it back. You're going to fix the scripts of the debutants that you have there, because that's your job as showrunner, to make sure that the scripts are up to par. Then you go back to your own one while they're filming them. There is no excuse here, but these are the excuses that we're getting now from him. He's saying now because he brought in loads of new people that he was distracted, and that's why the quality of his writing was bad. I'm also going to point out that RTD and Stephen Moffat weren't only working on Doctor Who, right? RTD then was working on Torchwood, and then later on he did the Sarah Jane Adventures, right? We had Stephen Moffat, who was doing Doctor Who and was also doing Sherlock, right? No excuse here, but these are the excuses. These excuses are okay for Chris Chibnall, right? But when people criticize RTD and when they criticize Stephen Moffat, and there are people that do criticize those two showrunners, right? They bring that up, right? But that's not an acceptable excuse. But for Chris Chibnall, it seems to be an acceptable excuse that basically he was too distracted. You know, even though he wasn't working on anything else, he was too distracted. That's why he couldn't put the quality of scripts out that he had. What an absolute joke. Anyway, indeed, with Chibnall having previously admitted to Doctor Who magazine that the show is one of the most difficult to produce, it is easy to see why the writer was reluctant to take the showrunner's job in the first place. Are you actually for real? Right? If he was feeling like that, right, he already turned it down anyway. We already know that. He should have turned it down again, right? Obviously, he wasn't ready to take it on. Maybe 10, 15 years from now would have been the right time for Chibs to have a go at Doctor Who, maybe. Right? But not now. He obviously didn't feel comfortable taking the job in the first place, right? So, you know, I've never gotten the decision to bring him in, other than, and the reasons behind that. The only thing that I could think of is the fact that he wanted to do something radical with it and bring in a female doctor, because you don't bring him in to write sci-fi. While his predecessors, right, now here they go in this article. They even mention it in this article, and this is how pathetic all these excuses are. RTD and Stephen Moffat may have been able to thrive under so much creative pressure. Their success masks what is ultimately a flawed and unsustainable arrangement. But it wasn't under RTD and Stephen Moffat, as you've pointed out in the article. Season 11 required Chibnall to provide 5 full episodes of his own. Wow. 5. He just needed to do 5 episodes of his own. 5. Right? Oh, this gets worse as I read it. How can they defend them? This article actually makes him look very bad. I told you he was way out of his head, way out of his league with this show. A lot of us have said that anyway, right? I'm not taking credit for that because we've all said that, right? Way over his head. And this article and these words coming out of Chibnall's mouth have just proven it all. Right? So as well, to help review and revise that number again, which signifies a burden far beyond the industry standard. So because he had to do 5 of his own, and then he had other writers to write 5 other episodes, remember that, right? So his job was simply to get his 5 episodes done, right? And then to check over the 5 scripts to the other writers that he gave scripts to, or he asked them to write a script for, right? And that was too much for him. But yeah, RTD could do that. Stephen Moffat could do that while they were working on other shows as well, having to do the same thing on those shows. Get away. Get away. You won't just admit, like we've all admitted, he was the wrong man to take Doctor Who, right? And you are making excuse after excuse after excuse for this man instead of actually reporting the truth, which is he was way over his head and everybody that he got involved in the show was way over their head. I just don't know why you're making excuses. And listen, I'm not saying maybe there is a problem behind the scenes the way Doctor Who is produced, but the other 2 showrunners could handle it. Right? And they were working on other shows. This man has only had to work on 1 show. He's had less episodes even, and I want to point that out as well. He's had less episodes to write, less scripts to write than the predecessors, right? So he's no excuse. Anyway, let's get to the end of this bleeding article. If the Doctor Who boss was not willing to put in significant amount of overtime to refine his scripts, that does not reflect some kind of unique character fault, but a system that must change going forward. Are you taking the piss? So if the Doctor Who boss is not willing, basically you're saying, to put in the effort and the overtime that's needed to do his episodes, then the system must change for the lazy bastard, is what you're saying. I'm sorry to curse there, but that's basically what you're saying. You're saying is that he's too lazy to do his job properly. So let's make the system easier for that lazy sod. The system must change because of that lazy sod. Are you taking the crap? Seriously. I can't wait for the panel to actually comment on that specific part of this article, because that is just an absolute joke. So, of course, Doctor Who's notoriously tight budget. He's got the most budget than the 2 showrunners combined. Has likely played a significant role in the setup enduring well over a decade. Are they taking the piss? He's had the most budget than any other showrunner, and now RTD is going to have the biggest budget of all time. But don't be making excuses over the budget. Even in the classic era, they had limited budget and they were able to produce some of the best scripts, the best stories, and some of the best acting that I've ever seen. So don't be giving me this crap, right? Doctor Who, this is new Who. No excuses. However, with future seasons of the show being made by the private production company Bad Wolf, and that's what I keep saying to people, this is nothing to do with BBC, right? And YouTubers are still reporting it's a BBC thing because they want you to hate what's happening with Doctor Who right now, even though nobody knows what's going to happen with Doctor Who right now. An unprecedented move away from BBC control. It might finally have the money to hire some much needed support for its showrunner. This can help to alleviate the burden on the one totemic figurehead while maintaining the consistency, high level of storytelling that viewers deserve. With the reappointment of RTD as showrunner, thanks be to God, it's hard not to be excited for Doctor Who's future. However, the fact that the show could not find a new person both willing and experienced enough to take Chris Chibnall's place is the real cause for concern. Well, it's not. There is no cause for concern here. They just gave it to the wrong man. There's plenty of talented people out there, and some that fans really wanted that could have took this show on. But they chose to go with this man that didn't even want it in the first place and turned it down the first time. With the show's move to Bad Wolf, Doctor Who finally has its chance to address its workload issues and ensure that the role of the showrunner is both coveted and comfortable. While this comes too late to save Chris Chibnall's run, blah de blah de blah, it could help Doctor Who move away from its untenable working culture and present the show with the path for sustainable long-term success, leaving first draft finals a thing of the past. So basically what you are saying is because Chris Chibnall failed, even though he didn't have the same pressures as other showrunners, the system has to change for that lazy twat because he couldn't handle the pressure and was way over his head. This article, right, I've read some doozies from Screen Rant, Digital Spy, and all of these other online magazines. But this, by far, so to date, has to be the one that is the most funniest in my opinion. The excuse after excuse after excuse. And I don't know why they're still defending them. I don't know if they're being paid. I don't know what's happening here. But I just don't know how you can defend every decision he's made with this show. It was clear he was over his head from day one. It was clear then that because he was over his head, he made decisions and radical decisions because he wanted to try and be rememberable somehow, because he certainly wasn't going to be rememberable for his writing and his casting decisions. An absolute joke, but I expect nothing less from Screen Rant. But that is the article. Excuse FC. It's just excuse after excuse after excuse. It's unbelievable. This era is an absolute joke. We all know it is, and they're still making excuses. So because he was lazy, because he didn't do his job properly, they want the system to change. Now, I'm not saying that some things probably do need to change behind the scenes. But let's not kid ourselves here. RTD and Stephen Moffat. Stephen Moffat's Doctor Who did dip in quality. I'm not gonna lie, right? But he was doing Sherlock, and that did very well, right? He got distracted with Sherlock, right? That was his problem. It was just a distraction. We all know how good Stephen Moffat can be at writing. But RTD, again, showed how good he was, right? They're making excuses for this man, and it's unbelievable. It's unbelievable. Right. So before I bring the guests on, which I'm going to bring on now really now shortly, I'm going to see who's in the chat because I see we got a couple of members as well. So I'm going to read out his names. So we got Brisk in the chat, Enigmatic Joker, Sadako 24 is in the chat also. Welcome. We got Queen Charlotte in the chat as well, and we'll have her on now in a few minutes, and it'll be interesting to see what everybody has to say about that. But this is why I wanted to do this, because I'm just let's tell it as it is. This era has been a complete disaster, and he's at fault. And I'm just sick of the media making excuses up for him all the time. It's blatant. Like he's literally shot himself in the foot with those quotes as well. He's unbelievable. How BBC, shame on BBC. PD Rich, real super doctor, is in the chat as well. Liam Neeson's chin, his face is not here, but his chin is. We got member the Wolf and the Storm in the chat. We've got James Dawson, another member, in the chat as well. Who else have we got? I just want to make sure I don't miss anybody. Keep going, Noel. We got Draw and Jack Rabbit in the chat as well. Who else have we got? We got Daniel the Legend in the chat. Welcome, Daniel. Dave Travels Through Time Channel 2 in the chat as well. Cinnamon Toast Crunch, another member, in the chat also. Scott McKenzie in the chat as well. Welcome. Robert Payne in the chat. Bobby in the chat as well. Welcome, Bobby. And I think we've got everybody. Wait, that didn't take too long. Cinnamon Toast Crunch says, though, I can't stop laughing. Well, let's see what the panel have to say. And we've got a nice little panel for you this evening. It's been a while since we had a panel, so I can't wait to bring the guys on, and the ladies, of course. So we'll start off with the one and only Mr. Problem Being.
Hello.
Welcome.
Good to be back. How are you? How is everyone?
It's good. Everybody is good. How are you?
Yeah, I'm very well, thank you.
Good man. Nice to hear. Well, we can't have a stream without the one and only Queen Charlotte.
Hello, everybody. Who knew Chibnall was secretly a comedian?
I know. Yeah, this is gonna. I can't wait to hear what you have to say. Next, we've got the one and only Cinnamon Toast Crunch.
Hello, everybody. Well, this is certainly a circus.
Yeah, it is indeed. And finally, our last guest tonight is the one and only PD Rich.
You know, I've heard some excuses working in education, but that one takes a biscuit.
I mean, right, let's I don't know who wants to start first of all, right? And remember, we're going for another 30 odd. We'll go for about an hour and 15, right? And then we'll leave it there. But what we'll do is, who wants to go first? Because I mean, look, we've read some articles. I said I was going to leave this until Chibnall's next episode came along. But when I seen this article, I had to, because it shows everything that everybody on this panel has said over the last 5 years, right? And a lot of fans have been saying, and even the casual viewer. But to hear those quotes from him himself is just unbelievable. Who wants to start first? Because there's some funny ones in there. Who wants to go for? I'll tell you what, we'll start with ladies first. So we'll start off with Queen Charlotte.
Yeah,
Charlotte, so go ahead.
I'll start with the whole excuses for the Series 11 finale.
Right.
Chibs, so basically, you employed a load of useless writers that you couldn't trust to write their own episodes, and you had to babysit them, so you couldn't write your own episode in time.
Exactly.
That is what you were basically telling us, Chibnall. And we've all said this, though. As soon as the writers got announced for Series 11, we all said, where are the experienced ones? Where are the old heads? That sort of, which you need, basically, as your anchors almost, for newer writers. Because you can rely on, like, Russell knew it because he brought in Cornell, who even though I'm not talking about his personality here, he's a strong writer.
Yeah.
He brought in Mark Gator. Sorry, my messengers. And he had the experience. He knew Doctor Who. So Davies knew he had to get his staple, of course, Moffat. He had these writers and then he could try out some new ones. And Chibnall seems to have not thought this through at all, no surprise. And now he's blaming that finale. And also, it was a terrible finale, Chibnall, because in your wisdom for Series 11, you didn't have a connecting story arc. You had...
You know what? Can I just say something real quickly as well? That's just had to pop it into my head while you were talking, and this will be the last time. But also, I've just realised he's throwing his own writers under a bus. The people that he brought in, so it's failed, right? Instead of blaming us because he knows he can't, he's decided to blame the very people that he hired in the first place.
Yeah.
Well, it's
Go
typical
ahead,
Chibnall. He's a coward. Like, everything about the way he's acted as a showrunner has been cowardly. But also that finale didn't work because nothing had been really built towards it, because he had decided to do week by week, like, isolated stories for that series, not like a proper story arc, not like a build-up. So it didn't have that finale feel. So that was also a major issue. And that was all Chibnall. You can't put that at BBC's door. You can't put that at his writer's door. That was his decision. He's talked about it in interviews. So that is just hilarious. And like you said, now suddenly, it's the BBC's fault. It's the way production's held of Doctor Who. And but like you said, if you think about what he had in comparison, he had less episodes. He was just focusing on Doctor Who, like you said. And also another thing that we need to remember with Chibnall's, definitely from the gaps we had in between series.
Yeah.
So it's not like he had to get a series out a year, which is what Russell and Moffat had to do.
And had to get it out every 18 months. He produced the series, Charlie.
Yeah, that's my point, because I think that was maybe a bit of the rush with Moffat and Davies. You could see it because they had to get it filmed and done. So every year there was a series on television.
Yeah.
Chibnall had more time, is my point. He had a whole extra year in between when we didn't have it on television. So you're telling me he ran out of time, but he had more time? Like, that's another major thing that even if you discount the episode limit and the other stuff he had, that should have made it easier, technically.
How much time did he if I had Chris Chibnall on, that'd be the question I'd ask him first.
Yeah, I think that's the major
the time restraints that you had. How much time did you need? Because you had 18 months between each series. Like 2 years to produce a series? 2.5 years? Is that how long you wanted?
Like I said, from series 11 to 12, I think it was about 2 years, wasn't it, for him to produce those, but not like one after the other. Literally was series 11 a year out, and then the next year we got series 12.
Yeah, 18 months nearly it was.
Yeah, and like you said, it's so obvious that now they're showing up all the weaknesses because they have to talk about it, because it's like the cat's been let out of the cage now. So they have to acknowledge his faults, but they can't say why. And they can't really go in, and we all know why. It's the reason. I think there's two sort of issues put together why we're seeing the defence now, which is before Chibnall, the media were really pushing a female doctor. Yeah. I can remember when Capaldi was cast, the amount of people that wanted a female doctor then, the amount of push there was towards Moffat casting a female after Matt was really big. I can remember just even when I wasn't so much part of the fandom like I am now, even I could feel it.
Yeah, I agree with you.
Because he gave them what they all wanted, they are all duty bound in a sense to protect him. But I think the other part, which is the more recent aspects of this, is he gave them what they wanted, but it failed. Yeah. He gave them what they were screaming about, and I can remember also how cocky they were at the beginning of her era, how sort of arrogant and full of themselves the advertising was, the BBC themselves, when Jodie was actually doing press at the time and Chris was. There was like this air of, oh, this is going to be the best thing ever. Yeah. Like this is going to be like David Tennant all over again. That's what they were trying to project.
Yeah.
So they've got massive egg on their face. because it's not just failed a bit, it's basically put the show in the most dire straits it's ever been in the modern one, at least. So that's what this is. They have to now go, oh yes, it didn't do well, but this reason and this reason and this reason. So no, and like you said, the more Chibnall talks, he just comes across as like this like moaning Minnie who just is like, oh, I feel sorry for me. It's like, no, I'm not going to feel sorry for you. You got paid enough for your so-called really hard work. And like you said, the fact that they even said, oh, he would have to do overtime. Well, I'm sorry, that's what a showrunner does.
That excuse doesn't wash with me if he had 18 months between each series. I mean, it doesn't make sense. Like, what was he doing? Letting them go on holiday? He's young writer. Let them go on a holiday and then, like, come back when we need to start writing. It'd be grand. We'll wing this. That's basically what he done. I'm sorry, but it's his fault, right? We said it when he took over, when he start getting rid of all of the people behind the scenes. We said that was a mistake. He needed to keep some people, but he decided to get rid of them all. These are all his own doing. There is he has no excuse. The failure of this is all on him, and he just has to accept it. It's as simple as that.
Sorry, I was just trying to, hopefully that fixes my mic, Lee. I just looked in the private chat. So it's just, like you said, it's almost like this just meek defense, which really doesn't hold any water at all.
Yeah. Lee, what do you think?
Hello.
This is very interesting. Lee.
Well,
seeing the article.
Are we surprised? Isn't everybody's script a first draft? That's what it looks like to me. I'm not, the fact that the author of this article says, oh, this is going to shock, his critics and his supporters alike. No, I'm not shocked at all. It's always something that I think I've said myself before at some point on a stream, saying this is like a first draft. It's not at all shocking to me at all. What is not even shocking again either. It's this kind of apologist tour that he's on, and it, as Charlotte says, it does seem to be an apologist tour. To oh, please pity me, and oh gosh, it's so tough, and oh god, it's like, well, I'll tell you what. How much better would it have been if his pay was performance related?
Oh yeah. He'd have to step it
up. I think he'd buck his ideas up pretty damn sharp if the ratings were to reflect in his pay.
It's excuses, FC. That's all it is. I mean, the fact that the other two showrunners, Lee, could multitask and multitask on separate shows, like they weren't just working on Doctor. There is
I think it takes a certain type of personality to judge all that kind of stuff. I will agree to some extent with the author on the issue of showrunner as a system, and I've said this before, that having a showrunner, not necessarily for this particular issue, but it does seem to add to my criticism of this notion of having a showrunner, which is another bad American import, is that we should, and he says we should try some new system. It's like, well, you don't need a new system. You just go back to the old system. You have executive producer, you have the script editor, and then you have the writers all sort of doing their pitch each, right?
Oh, basically a writer's room, which Chibnall's era did actually have.
No, not a writer's room. No, because the executive producer holds the executive decisions. The script editor goes through all the scripts. With the executive producer, they decide on the arc over the season, what the story should have, who should be in, all those kind of things. And then the writer's given the brief, they go off and write the script, they bring it back, they give it to the script editor looks over it, rewrites it if need be, or, you know, fits it in, corrects it, you know, all this kind of stuff. And then the executive producer and the script editor fight their corner each. You know, they both share the burden. It's shared between two and the writers as well. So you got that sort of, you know, linchpin. And you've got this ability to be able to bounce ideas off with one another. So, you know, you don't just go in there half-assed, I'm in charge, oh God, it's all on me, and then you screw the pooch, and then, you know, you're just looking like an idiot. And I think that is a lot of I think it is a lot of pressure on your average person. I'm not saying that anyone average really should be in a position like that in the first place, and by God, he's not even average. I think it's at the detriment of the show to have a singular vision sometimes. I'm not saying all the time, but I think even Hinchcliffe had Holmes. You know, you've got to have that ability to bounce. I think that's the important thing, and I think Chibnall. It does look like it was written by committee, right? Which is not a good idea either. So you've got this writer's room. I have no idea. It sounds like, you know, communist writing, like a committee. You know, it's awful. It's an awful idea, and too many cooks spoil the broth anyway. Especially when they don't know what they're doing or how to cook. You know, so I would say just go back to the old system. You know, it worked all those years successfully, produced much better quality than we're getting now. You don't need a new system. You've got a perfectly good old system that works very well. But having said that, you know, would Moffat's later run have suffered as much if he was under that old system? Would RTD have been reined back in on some of his worst ideas if he had the script editor as sort of jostling equal position? You know, I think showrunner, yeah, it kind of becomes a bit of an ego wank, and I think that you need someone who's not going to be a yes man or a committee to, you know, share the burden and screw it up royally. You know, I think it does need strong leadership, but I don't necessarily believe that it needs to be a singular vision. It can be something that, I think if you have at least two people, no more than three, I'd say, you know, just to be able to have like a bouncing idea, and then like two people could veto one person or whatever. Something like that, because you need someone to hold you in check and to rein you in your sort of more extreme idea. You're a singular person in charge, and no one's there to sort of put you on check or on blast even. You know, there's no one to say no, really. And I think that's the same with the writers room. If you give too much power to your writers in the writers room, you're sort of what's the word? You're sort of giving out, you're diluting that vision. You're watering it down, and it loses its shape. So instead of a singular vision, you have a multiple vision, which just doesn't work. It just becomes a disjointed mess. And if you've got no script editor who is more in your level to kind of rein you in, or to say, well, this draft needs rewriting completely. This can't go out. Was there anyone there for Chibnall to do that? I don't think so. It doesn't look like it.
Comes across as there wasn't.
He was supposed to. They're all supposed to. I mean, RTD now has brought, like, obviously he's going to have help now when he takes over, because he has his own team there now. So hopefully the things that you've said, you know, might improve the quality now when RTD obviously comes back for his second run as showrunner. But I'm just like everybody else. I mean, look, you are right. Is it a surprise, really? No. I mean, we all.
No, because I said it before. This looks like a first draft. I can't remember which story it was, but it's
you did. You actually did. I love the fact you saying that on the panel.
I love the fact that on this article there's a link to a related article. .2 Chibnall failed the first female doctor. I think
He did. He did.
I
We
think
covered that.
he
Yeah.
did. He did. But I think Whittaker and
No, she didn't help herself.
he didn't help. But again, he put her in that position. So it does really kind of boil down to. But again, whose idea really was it? Was it his? Was it the BBC?
I say it was his. If you read that article and you listen to what he's saying, I think he knew he was over his head, and I think he needed to do something that would shock the fandom. And I think a female doctor gave him that kind of thing, so they could focus on her gender, right? While he fucks up, so then everybody then will say, if you come out against it, oh well, then you're just a sexist bigot because you don't like a woman in the
I don't believe for a minute that there weren't a bunch of people queuing up to take that job who could have done a better job than Chibnall. I think it's because he was on board with the BBC's messaging. I think he was probably easier to control.
Yeah,
perhaps. And I think, you know, there were plenty of people who would be vying for that position. You know, even though it's not the best paid job out of all the lot. And BBC are renowned for underpaying people because, you know, it's public funded. But I think even so, there'll be people.
Yeah, but it's a brilliant platform job that if you can do Doctor Who well, you can pretty much do anything else afterwards. That's how I think a lot of people would see it as. I might not get paid the big bucks, but I can really prove my talent by doing this.
Yeah, absolutely. You know, and I think, you know, there was some, was it Jay Stravinsky? I think
Joe Straczynski, yeah.
Yeah. You know, he was willing to do it for next to nothing, I believe. You know, you can have talent who are just really passionate about it, who want to do it. But I think the BBC were very particular in the kind of mindset. And bearing in mind as well, Chibnall was, because I remember seeing a tweet ages ago, you know, from Common Purpose, congratulating him on some award he won. So I think, well, he's in the club there, you know.
Yeah, well, look, at the end of the day, who cares what awards he's won or Whittaker has won? None of the awards that they've won have actually meant that. They've been all little Mickey Mouse awards.
Yeah.
They've never won any major awards for this era of Doctor Who, and now we can see why. I mean, we all knew this was going to happen, but the fact that it's all coming out now, I just find it quite funny. And the fact that he does want to assign blame.
Shocked.
He wants to assign blame as well is just unbelievable. But have you got anything else to add before I bring PD and Cinnamon in?
Just grow the fuck up and piss off. Basically, I don't ever want to hear from you ever again. The story.
That's it. Right. Anyway, PD.
Yeah, listen to what. Listening to what he's saying, I'm like, Jesus Christ, man up for God's sake. Russell T Davies did 8 episodes in season 1, and you're moaning about 5, and then you go and you co-write an episode and do the special. Technically did 7. Is this guy for real? Seriously? Could we have got someone like better to do this season? Because he's just crap. I mean, he's a good crime writer, but he's a terrible science fiction writer. He should never have been given the job. And because he was part of the BBC club, they made it, oh, we have to give it to you. We've got to do it in-house. Oh, or inbred, as I like to call it. So, yeah, I'm just astonished. And it keeps making these bloody excuses over and over again. Oh, the sun was in the wrong position. Oh, I didn't have the right bread. Oh, all this. Oh, just write the bloody show. 18 months for friggin' season. And just do it as half seasons.
I'd love to know what his excuse was for Eve of the Daleks and Legend of the Sea Devils, because that was poorly put together. Now, I will say it was poorly edited as well. But the reason why it was probably poorly edited, because that was probably, they'll blame COVID, but you know what? Again, I wouldn't be surprised if that was a forced draft and he just roll with it, basically.
I think all of his scripts are, to be honest.
Oh God, he's just like, it was one of the worst sci-fi writers. And as we said, we could have had Joe Straczynski. So like, the problem is if RTD does a bad job now, we're all going to go, we could have had Joe Straczynski, you know. And we even offered his services to Chibnall. Chibnall just turned his nose up.
And they were
And
bigoted, so no Americans.
No Americans, yeah.
And they did that to the other guy as well, didn't they?
Oh, yeah, Stephen Kingson.
Stephen Kingston, yeah. We don't want you, especially Americans.
And then took an American in for class,
yeah. Xenophobic. I mean, it's like, you know, wow.
Yeah.
Really.
Wasn't it the writer of Class wasn't here either American or Canadian?
I don't know.
Put someone in for Class.
Never
What kind of
watched
American? I think missing it would probably be the best thing than watching that one. But yes, it's just he puts the pro in procrastinate. I have to put that about him. Chibnall just puts the pro in.
No, he puts the crass into procrastinate.
Oh yeah, and that pro and the crass. God, I've never known a showrunner just to make up so many excuses for screwing everything up. And it's not like when in this whole article, it's like, sorry, but I'm not sorry. It's like, oh mate.
It's gas. The supporters of this era are blaming us fans.
Yeah.
Chibnall is blaming these writers and the fact that basically, well, the journalist is making the assumption that the system is all wrong. And maybe it is. And as I said, I'm not saying that maybe things do need to change behind the scenes, but the point that I would make is that RTD and Stephen Moffat seem to be able to navigate it better than well, he didn't navigate it. He crashed it into the
Yeah, but also let's be fair. What sunk the current era? The timeless child doesn't matter what amount of time he got given, how many writers he had, how much money he got given. He still would have written that episode, and that would have just killed the era, whatever other things he would have had going on.
Or the timeless insert, as we call it now.
Cinnamon.
Well, first off, it's nice to be back on the channel again. It's been a while. But yeah, I'm with Lee here. This doesn't surprise me, the comments he's made there, to be honest. Shotting other people under the bus. Not surprised. Kind of never met the blog, but I feel like it sort of matches who he would be. Someone like him to do that. But I'm just although I sort of expected it, it still in a way surprises me. It's just comical. Like I said in the chat earlier, I can't stop laughing. I think it's hilarious. It's just imagine that in any other walk of life. Imagine having a job, walking in and saying to the boss, "I'm sorry, I'm a failure. I can't do this, but don't sack me. You need to make the change. You need to change this whole operation. You need to cater to my needs. You need to stop this."
That's a good
Fix it
point.
now.
If you imagine any other job, and you did the equivalent of what Chibnall did in any job, be it a bakery or a bloody office or anything, he'd be sacked. He'd be out on his ear, and he'd get a cushy paycheck at the end of this as well. And I'm just thinking, how the hell? Like any other situation, you'd be out on your ass.
I was at work yesterday, and I was thinking about what to say before I came on today. And I was just thinking about kind of what Charlotte mentioned about the fact that how can you sit there and complain about not having enough time when you've had we've had less episodes in a season. It went down from 12 to 13, and it went down to 10. And then we were all told at the start, "Oh, don't worry. Yeah, although it's less episodes, it'll still be around the same because it'll be a bit longer." Although it wasn't. It was like a couple of minutes extra. Went from 45 to like 50 minutes or something like that, if I remember. And we had 10 episodes for that season. 5 times 10, yeah, we get around 50 something. So we get roughly around we would have got around an extra episode. I call that time wasted, to be honest.
And then you take a year off to recover.
Exactly, yeah. Then he'd have a year off. He took okay, so series 11 I think came out in October, didn't it? And then it finished around December. And then we had a New Year's special. And then he had the entirety of 2019 off. And then series 12 started in January 1st. Yeah, again, I can't remember when that finished, but that was probably around this point, to be fair. And then he had a lot more time off, and had another special. And
then lockdown happened, so we had another break in between.
Exactly.
And then less episodes again.
Yeah, and then it was just constant waiting, and it's quite surprising. I mean, like, When I think about, like you say, Russell T Davies, I mean, he had what 5 years, 5 good, well, probably 4 actually. Yeah, probably 4 or nearly 5, something like that. Yeah, but a good 5 years. And you think about all the episodes he's written. Series 1, a lot of pressure on him. He had to get it right. Imagine, and he even said himself in interviews. I've been watching so many interviews of Russell lately, and he said how important it was for him to get it right. And he, what was it, 13 episodes, 12 episodes, Series 1?
Yeah.
And then Series 2, Series 3, Series 4, Torchwood, Sarah Jane Adventures, although I don't think he's written as much for Sarah Jane, his own individual episodes, but he started to show run the entire thing. That's so much. I can't, and he literally, I think, like I say, if you read the writer's tale, or if you sort of do a bit of research and you see how stressful it was for him, but he still managed to do it. And then you see this guy who gets significantly more, who gets to have a lot more time, less episodes, more time, less work, and he still can't hack it.
Yeah.
I mean, what's going on there? I mean, that's why I think the whole budget as
see,
well.
He had to, like, for the last 2-3 years, his excuse, well, his real reason was because his son was doing his exams. Remember that. It's very important. 3 years he was doing his GCSEs, folks.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Where was I? Sorry.
I'm sorry, I broke you.
No, that's okay. I think
I
I was somewhere like I say, all the shows that you had to do, and the same with Stephen Moffat. Yeah, he got a little bit distracted towards the end. I agree with Noel there. I think absolutely. I think he sort of tried to juggle Sherlock and at the same time.
Yeah, he took his eye off the ball. No, I won't deny that. Moffat did take his eye off the ball. But the difference is that we knew that Moffat was a competent showrunner. He could actually write. Like, it was just being effective because
he was burnt out. He was, remember, this guy was touring around the world on a
as
whistle.
well. Yeah.
You know, like, and then doing Sherlock as well, and you know, and he had to deal with the 50th. So that's a huge,
Yeah,
huge
exactly.
Yeah, and also, and he actually did promotion. He didn't like lock himself in a room.
So he threw extra stuff
Yeah.
on. That's what I mean. He threw extra stuff. You got to remember the stuff that Chibs didn't have to do, especially after Series 11. They didn't do much interviews for Series 12, and then Series 13 was perfect. He didn't have to answer any questions or go on tour because of the whole COVID situation. So that would have suited him. It's horrible to say, but that would have been a blessing in disguise for him in that way, because he wouldn't have to face the media scrutiny or face the fan scrutiny by doing the fucking
right there. Built-in excuse.
So I'm just, look, at the end of the day, he failed because he wasn't the right man for the job. The fact that the media still continue to make excuses for this man, and the fact that he's laying the blame on people that he brought in, well then, it's all down. I'm sorry, but there's no other way around it. You are still responsible for the failure of this area. You can make all the excuses all you want. You failed because you're over your head. And you decided to make decisions that would shock a fandom, because you thought, right, well, I'll have the fans all shocked. I'll do stuff within the show that'll shock them. That'll distract them away from all the nonsense that's going on. But unfortunately, it didn't work. We saw your nonsense. We saw straight through it. We knew exactly what you were doing. Everything that you did was vindictive. Everything that you did was vindictive.
I think things like the timeless child bollocks and all that. I think because Series 11 was just such a flat, damp squib, you know, the only thing left in his toolbox, in his toolkit, was to do something shocking, you know, because that's all he's got. He's got no talent for drama. He's got no talent.
No.
I mean, he might have for. I never watched Broadchurch, and it's boring as fuck.
No, he is good at Broad. I'm not gonna sit
here.
You know,
from what I've heard, drama season, but not the rest of it. But I don't know. I never watched it, so I can't comment it. But I will say, you know, when it comes to science fiction, I never saw any of that drama or characterization. All I saw was someone who had no ideas, and the only thing he had was shock value.
That's it.
That's it. That
was kind of why I know this might sound like a bit of an unpopular opinion, but I actually kind of preferred his historical stories, which is kind of why I remember when I was saying in the 4th episode of Flux, the Weeping Angels one, I actually liked that one because it was sort of like the vibe around it. Once he steps away from the whole sci-fi element and he actually goes back in the past. Well, bar Rosa episode, I didn't like that one. But
Bar
I did feel like
Rosa,
once he stepped back,
She-Devil.
the Witchfinders, I thought was another one. Once
Yeah.
he stepped away from the whole futuristic sci-fi element of it all,
Yeah.
I thought well, I wouldn't say it's better, but it was a slight.
Well, he
ever so
made the
slight improvement.
witches. He made the witches real. How is that feminist? You know, it's like you've just justified the mass burning and drowning of women in history because there were real witches. I mean, like, what kind of message is that sending?
Oh no, only and also if you remember, he basically gave us a closeted gay king in that episode.
Yeah.
Well, to be fair, James the First was a raging homosexual. There's
Yeah,
no
but they portrayed the king incredibly like feminine
Yeah,
and
he was
closeted.
too camp, and he wasn't camp in
Yeah.
real life apparently. So if you're gonna do a historical figure, it's like that stupid Anne Boleyn thing that they did when they race swapped it. I mean, why are you trying to change its history? You can't change history
because
no
all they've
matter
got
how much
because all
you
they've got
want
is
to change it.
shock.
Yeah, it's all shock value.
It's
So
all about
like, you know,
modernising
oh
it.
look how Henry, a white male, treated these misses and all this crap. Like, that's not the way it was. He was just a tyrant, and the end of the story. If they grassed him, he chopped their heads off, and that's the way it was back in the day. There's nothing we could do about it.
Well,
That's just
you
the way
know,
it was.
that's when kings had divine right. You know, I mean, that's going to do something to your brain, isn't it? Growing up
Exactly.
with divine right.
Exactly, man. So look again. All of this revision of
Like
history
Twitter,
is what he's
Facebook,
tried to
fine.
do as well. Is wrong. You know, there's so many wrong things that he did. But look, people called this a very long time ago. There was even videos, as I said, at the time when he was announced as showrunner, and fans were genuinely worried. And you should see those videos, man. They called everything. They
Chaos
called
in Cardiff.
everything. I'm telling
Yeah.
you, it's absolutely shocking that the BBC allowed this man. But they take some responsibility, right? Let's not forget, BBC did make the mistake in bringing him in, right? But at the end of the day, all of the decisions that were made on the show, right, from the casting to the writing to the team that he brought in to behind the scenes, that's all on him. He made those decisions. When he did a clear out, everybody was shocked again. Oh, he's bringing in a whole new team. Some fans were delighted and saying, oh no, it'll breathe fresh life into the show. Well, I had the opposite effect. You always have to, whether you like it or not, you always need some of
Intellectual
those
vacuum.
experienced people behind the scenes to
Yeah.
guide the new showrunner. And then when this new showrunner finds their feet, if he decides to get rid of them, then that's on him. But he should have kept some of the old people, but he didn't.
I find it amusing. I find it amusing that they just hone in on this one story, this battle of arse.
Well, it is
Batman,
awful,
whatever
though.
it is.
Let's be honest. It is one of the. Well, it's not the worst episode. I'll agree
Yeah,
with
but-
you. I think
no,
there's
but-
worse episodes.
The reason why they're focusing on that one is because it's the easiest one to make excuses for.
Yeah, because it's
Because
a finale, you know.
No, but because it's not, they don't want to tackle the canon stuff with timeless children. Because
Yeah,
they
so look
know if they
Look
try
over
and
here. Look over here.
defend it,
Mm.
that they will look like absolute idiots. And also,
do anyway.
nobody's going to try and defend Flux. So all they've got left is Series 11 and that finale. It's like a low-hanging fruit almost for them to pick on now.
Pretty much.
To go, well, actually, that wasn't that good, was it? But here's why.
Yeah, but still, look again. The media again are also responsible, and also the people that have defended this era. You all want to look at yourselves, because the failure of this era is solely all down to you guys as well. You should have called them out. You knew. Look, there's no doubt that all of these fans that are defending this era, or that have tried to defend this era, know that this era was bad. It's just very early on, a lot of people put all their cards on the table. And instead of being true to themselves, they either compromised on their opinions or they decided to sit on the fence.
There were a
Okay.
few very loud voices out there, and I think a lot of people saw what happened to you, saw what happened to Bolstrek, saw what happened to a whole bunch of other people, and they thought, I don't want that happening to me, and they just went along with it. I think,
Yeah.
you know, they
Yeah.
may have even gone so far
Collaborators.
as to really stand for Chibnall and Whittaker, but they didn't really believe in it. It's just they wanted to be accepted into the group. They didn't want to
Exactly.
be piled on by the group. I think a lot of it was peer pressure and bullying and toxic environment. You know, they want to talk about toxicity. They love to project, you know, and I think that that's been proven and out. You know, we've seen it develop over time, and the whole culture war develop over time. We can see now very clearly, you know, even in terms of like the Amber Heard case, you know, Johnny Depp, we've seen all these sort of tactics bear themselves out, and it's so crystal clear now.
Yeah, I agree.
Yeah, and we will remember. We will.
Yeah,
remember.
I mean, look, as I said, you know, I used to say we'll forget this era pretty quick, but that's a lie. This era will be remembered, but for all the wrong things and
Indelible
all the
stain.
negative stuff that came with it. But I mean, I will say to those people that did sit on the fence and those people that were afraid to be piled on, in some ways I do get it, but in other ways I'm kind of like thinking to myself, well, if you guys had a spoke up just as much as we did, then maybe Chris Chibnall would have been forced to change.
It's because they were on board. They were on board with the message. They were on board with the politics. They were on board with the female doctor. They were on board with it. Didn't matter so much that the stories were terrible or the acting was terrible. It's what it stood for them that was more important. And it's like, I don't know how you can call yourself a fan of something if you want to change it completely so much. Like, we know change is part of the show's aspect. It's not the defining factor.
Yeah, but you don't go in and completely destroy.
You go in there, claim to be a fan, and then want absolutely everything about it to change. That doesn't really smack of someone who's a fan.
Well, you're not a fan.
Yeah, I've always
you came on board the show because you liked the way it was written in the first place, but then all of a sudden, because there's an agenda inserted into Doctor Who now you don't like it, and that's what I've seen as well, and that's disgusting, Lee. You know what I mean? At the end of the day, look, we're all for new fans coming into this fandom and experiencing Doctor Who the way we do.
Yeah, now we're going to get TikTokers coming in.
But when you come into this fandom and you start dictating to fans, which they have done, right, and start telling fans, well, we don't like this, so yous can't like this now. But if you do like it, yous are, again, BBC Twitter put up a photograph of David Tennant and Martha Jones, the episode, the World War One episode again, the two-parter, Human Nature, Family of Blood. And again, the usual gobshites in the thread. Oh, this is racist. This is one of the worst episodes ever made. How dare they be? And right, then you had that Jenny one, right, calling out Wilf, right, for I hope in the 60th. Wilf apologizes for basically being a royalist, right? No laughing emojis, no nothing. But because she got called out for it, all of a sudden it was a joke. Oh, you don't understand the joke. Well, then my response was, well, then the laughing emojis must be invisible. It wasn't a joke. Just admit you don't like the royal family.
I think that the problem stems really is quite clear when you allow social media to dictate. You know, the BBC claiming that Doctor Who's now, you know, diverse and inclusive. The more they seem to shout that louder and louder, the more it seems to funnel itself into an ever decreasing circle of what is popular. You know, it becomes fractalized. It becomes fractured into this multiple thing where it becomes atomized into smaller and smaller groups of people. And they're all getting their little clutches on it, going, "Oh, this is mine now. This is mine now. Oh, look how inclusive and diverse it is." When in fact, it's excluding everyone else by being so hyper focused on minority groups, which don't exist, by the way. Groups do not exist. Individuals exist. I've always said that. And I think that once you stop making Doctor Who for everybody, it ceases to be Doctor Who.
Yeah, and that's exactly what's happened with this era. Go ahead, Cinnamon.
I was just going to say, when you mentioned about this Twitter and such, I mean, there seems to be this big focus on the social media aspect, the whole Thasmin thing. Oh, it wouldn't if Doctor Who Twitter wasn't a thing, Tasman wouldn't even exist. There's a really big, for some reason, for good nor what, for nor worse, there's a big focus on the social media aspect, and I
agree.
don't think they're taking into account that they forget that not every single Doctor Who fan,
It's artificial.
how many of them out there, is on social media.
Yeah.
I mean, I am on social media, but the Doctor Who, every time the Doctor Who Twitter account ever posts anything, that's the last place I want to be. You click on
But
that
as soon
post,
as they put
and you see all
something
those
up,
posts from all those people, and it raging about and getting into the debate about the Doctor's now omni this or parasexual that, and I'm just like,
and now it's Pride Month. It's like,
yeah, well, they've already
on
threw up
Instagram.
a post. They've already threw up some Tasman fan art, right? They've already put up some Tasman fan art for Pride Month, right?
I know.
And then you go into the comment section, right? And it's both sides doing it now. But one side of the argument will write something up to rile the other side up, and then the other side responds. It's getting petty either way, right, at this stage. But it's just ridiculous, right, that Cinnamon is right? None of this would be happening if social media didn't exist, right? Doctor Who would be getting written the way Doctor Who is supposed to be getting written. But for some weird reason, and I agree with Cinnamon here, there does seem to be a steer away from what the general audience wants and what people on social media want more. There seems to be more hyper focus on that, and this is why we're getting the Doctor Who that we've gotten for the past 5 years. If Twitter, TikTok, fucking Facebook didn't exist during this era, I guarantee you Chris Chibnall would have gave us something completely different, but it'd still be rubbish anyway, because he's just not capable.
It'd be a better kind of rubbish.
But
don't listen. Do you think Philip Hinchcliffe sat there reading his fan mail going, oh, they want this, they want that, I better do what they tell me? No, of course not. You know, stop listening to either side of the audience and have the confidence to understand what Doctor Who is in the bloody first place and get down, knuckle down, and bloody produce it.
This is why I'm kind of excited for this new era with Russ. I mean, I know he's on Instagram, but he doesn't. I don't think he likes Twitter, from what I've seen of him.
He puts stuff on Instagram that's fun, photographs of himself, and then he has that to say about Doctor Who.
Because David Tennant isn't on Twitter, Catherine Tate isn't on Twitter, unless Bernard Cribbins is on Twitter. I think we're in good stead. I think people like Mandip Gill, who were in the sort of online sort of space. I think that's kind of where it stemmed from. I know Jodie's on Twitter, but they're both in and around that sort of culture.
Yeah,
where they had probably more access to it.
Yeah, I'm on Instagram, and I have to say, Lee will probably agree with me because he's on Instagram as well. I mean, it's probably one of the most safest places to go. I'm not messing for a social media app. I mean, I've had one or two run-ins with people from the other side that support the other side, but there hasn't been any real tussle on Instagram. Instagram is actually
in comparison to Twitter.
I
don't have FOMO with Twitter at all. You know, it's actually quite a relief to be away from that insanely toxic environment. It's so bad for your mental health. It's excruciating. I urge everyone to get the fuck off of that.
But I think also with Russell, you can see a different attitude with what social media he does use. He just uses it for fun.
Like he posted a picture of himself when he was younger, and I think I typed handsome fella and he liked my comment. So that's kind of the thing.
That's what I mean. Like from what obviously I'm not on Instagram, but from what I've seen people say he's like on Insta, he just seems to use it for what I think it should be used for, which is to generate excitement.
Yeah,
just
his
put a little
Instagram
teaser out, or maybe just have a bit of fun with a picture. Like that's how he seems to see social media. Whereas you're right, Maneep and Jodie, and I think Chris, they were all guilty at times of thinking social media is a good guide, and it's not.
Yeah. I mean, I have to say, he's very good at interacting with fans on his Instagram, but I will also point out that he doesn't take any bullshit. And he's quick to put those people in their place as soon as they say something he doesn't like. For instance, he had the J-bots hassling him over if he was going to cast a woman, and he put a stop to that. And then someone then went and wrote a comment saying, "Oh, you've ruined Rose Tyler by bringing in the trans actress Yasmin, even though it wasn't Rose Tyler, and he was having none of that either." And he unfollowed that person. And he actually made a savage fucking comment, I have to say. But that's exactly the way he's shown balance there, though. He's not just blocking one side. If the other side step out of line, he's blocking them as well. But the majority of his social media posts are very engaging, and he engages with fans as well. And as Cinnamon Toast Crunch says there, you make a witty comment, he'll like your comment. He might even respond in some cases. He's not like a Chibs where he's closed off from the fandom. So look, that only continues if he's left alone and he's not hassled all the time. And this is another thing that I'm afraid of now. He is on Instagram. I just hope,
Is it okay if I just say one more thing?
Yeah, if it stays that way, and that's where I'll leave it.
Yeah, I just wanted to point out about when you liked my comment after I called him handsome. As part of the whole sort of rumors, because everyone's been dishing out rumors. Everybody's got a rumor, and there was kind of this thing because the thing is with RTD, he kind of likes everybody's comment, so everyone was like, "Oh, is so and so? It was Martha Jones returning for the 60th," and he would like the comment, and then they posted it on Twitter, like, "Oh my god, guys, look at this rumor." Oh, it's like a stirring the pot. I don't know if it's intentional, but everyone was throwing around rumors and things, and he's like the comment, and everyone would be like, "Oh my god, it's happening now." I just thought that was wow.
Yeah, he said then he came out. He said, "Yeah, I've been throwing out red herrings and doing stuff." Just
like him and Moffat were good at trolling. They were really good at trolling. Chibnall didn't even bloody engage, at all.
Yeah.
Like one extreme to, I think fans have gotten so used to the showrunners being really hands-on and popping up until we were sick of seeing the bloody sight of them half the time. But they were always providing us little clues or little red herrings and toying with us, and it was, "Oh, damn you, Moffat! Woo, damn you, not Chibnall,
RTD,
and Chibnall, crickets. I can't do cricket noise. There you go.
Church bell, dong, dong.
Yeah. Just the sound of silence.
My old friend.
Yeah, the sound of silence. That's what it was.
True.
Anyway, we've come to the end of time. So what I'll do is I'll go around the whole panel and get everybody to do their shout outs, their social medias and all of that stuff. And if there's anything upcoming on user channels, please let everybody know. So we'll start with you first, Problem B.
Hello. Yes. Hey. I'm also not on Twitter. I am on Instagram. You can follow me at Aldred Audiovisual, which is the same as my YouTube channel. It's AUDRED Audiovisual, one word. Well, Aldred is not one. Well, that is one word, but it's separate from audiovisual. So audiovisual is one word. Yeah, you can go there, subscribe on that. That would be nice. Need more subs, need more views. So go and click on there and put things on a loop. That'll be good. Yeah, that's about it.
Thank you, Lee. Queen Charlotte.
Yeah, so Type 40 Live is back. So this week, sorry, my brain needs to work. We were back on Thursday, so we've got our sort of welcome back Jubilee type of show and some of the rumour talk also we did near the end. And then on Friday coming up, we've got me and Daniel, we've got the lovely Wendyology, and Sadaka, who's in the chat, is coming on, and we're doing a sort of overall roundtable line of duty discussion from that covers series 1 to series 4 before we start series 5.
Fantastic. And I see PD is throwing the channels in there. So we'll go with Cinnamon Toast Crunch just to give them a bit more time to throw the rest of them in.
Hi everybody, I do have a Twitter account. You can just find it at Real B Beckett or just Brandon Beckett if it's easy to find. I do have 2 YouTube channels. I'm going to probably switch it to the other one, just to save confusion. So I'm just going to post it in the link there. I'm just going to post in the chat. So if you, PD, want to get on that and share that, then that would be absolutely great. But yeah, I'm probably going to think about starting my own channel. I've kind of been inspired, to be honest, to do a lot more Doctor Who kind of videos and reviews. So I'm probably going to kind of keep up on that and sort of start from there. So that'll be Cinnamon Toast Crunch. So yeah, if you'd like to check that out, and I'll try and get on that soon.
Fantastic. And last but not least, PD Rich.
Okay, you can sometimes find me on Dave Charles Stew Time talking about Stargate at the moment, and mostly you'll find me in the Chat on Rabbi's channel as his mod. So there.
Fantastic. And tomorrow we have a member stream. Me guest on that stream is the legend himself, Daniel. So go members, don't forget to check that out. And then at the end of the week, hopefully we will have Jack on, and then Lee, hopefully then after that.
Do subscribe to Jack's channel, by the way. I'll pop
Oh yeah, Jack, drawing Jack Rabbit. Go and subscribe to him. Fantastic.
Yeah, go and check it out. You'll see his little videos. They're brilliant. And the video that he threw up a while ago was a very good video talking about his journey. So go and check it out.
Yeah.
It's well worth watching. And also just on another note. So I was, as you know, I've been streaming Red Dead Redemption on the Irish Geek, and I was organising a couple of videos, and I came across a stream that I did with Alpha on the movie Falling Down. And to my surprise, and I'm just after finding another bleeding stream that has 5k views. I don't know what's going on because but it's weird. But yeah, the stream Falling Down, I think it was one of the last movie streams me and Alpha had done together. 18,800 views. I don't know where the 18,000 views came from, but
people love that film.
It was a great movie. It was a great stream. So if you haven't actually checked it out, go and check it out. But yeah, I just thought I'd let you know about that, because obviously he was a big part of this channel, and we did stuff on the other channel as well. And it was just nice to see, because he always, he'd openly talk about being on YouTube and all. He wasn't sure whether he was good enough to be on YouTube, but we always said he was and encouraged him. And it's just a pity he didn't say that, man, because that would have blown him away, that stream. And I think he was on the Uncle Buck one as well, which got over 5,000 views. I don't know what's happened, but the movie streams have blown up on the channel.
It must be interfering from up there, so
either it's either that, Lee, or somehow my channel or those movie streams are getting into the algorithm or something. But yeah, I was just, effect, maybe. Yeah. I just thought that was nice.
Yeah, that's great. Well deserved. That's a nice fitting tribute, really, isn't it?
Yeah, I was blown away. So anyway, thank you to the people that have been tuning in for me Red Dead Redemption 2 streams. We're having some fun with them. I don't even think I'm halfway through the game yet.
You're getting that.
I'm getting close, I say, but we got a couple of missions now to come up tonight. So come and check them out, because it is getting, I think we are probably getting close to the end. And if you want to see me blow the head off people, yeah, it's
still more horses than women.
Yeah. I keep crashing into things with me horse because of the controller drift, and I keep landing in wagons in between the two passengers. It's funny. I'm surprised I haven't killed me horse yet. It has been.
It's a video game horse. They survive everything.
Yeah. Well, no, in this game, if they get shot, they die.
Right.
So the horse was shot, and I had to revive him, which I did. But yeah, one of those O'Driscoll boys shot me horse, so I wasn't happy about that.
Bastards.
Yeah. Anyway, it's a good game. So if you want to check me out playing a game that's set in the Wild West, it's very interesting. The characters are very good. It's very character driven. And there's a lot of cutscenes, because they're telling their story. And the first game was really sad, and we've already lost half of the gang, and I'm devastated. And I know we're going to lose more people, but I just don't know. So I just don't know who, because I haven't played it to the end, so I don't know who. So even I'm being surprised as we play it. So yeah, check them out, and don't forget member stream tomorrow with Daniel. Then at the end of the week, hopefully with Jack, we're going to organise that now as soon as I get the one done with Daniel. And then we'll have the streams that we have here. And hopefully, not this weekend, but next weekend, we might start back up with the new Who watch-alongs. I'm going to bring them back gradually, one at a time. So we'll probably get back to doing Matt Smith. So get you our Matt Smith DVDs dusted down.
We're nearly on
to Peter Capaldi anyway, so that's why I wanted to actually start.
Time of the Doctor is the next one.
So,
one episode closer to the Whittaker era.
So we won't. Well, we're not doing the Whittaker era. We're
Unknown 289 says the Falling Down stream is showing up in my recommended videos. And
I saw that. It popped up in mine.
Wow. There you go. Well, yeah. Well, let's. As I said, as Lee said as well, it is a bit of it is a fitting tribute. But I was blown away, and man, he'd be absolutely over the moon with that. I know he would. What you call it? That was a good stream. We had a good chat on that one. Falling Down. I remember doing a good movie. Love it. Anyway, we'll leave it there for now. I want to thank all my guests as usual for coming on. I know it's been a while, but Queen Charlotte, thank you. Lee, pleasure as always. PD Rich,
no worries.
Thank you. And Cinnamon Toast Crunch. He doesn't come on that often, but it's nice to see it again.
Anytime.
And to the rest of you, enjoy your week. And yeah, we'll see you on the channel soon, as I said. And we'll leave it there. So good night, folks.
Good night, everybody.
Good night.
Good night, panel. Oh.
Yeah, good night, panel. That never change. Bye.
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 Bye.